I'm going to, first I'm going to draw my action line, like how his body's basically going to be moving. And this is kind of the direction of his body. And then I'm going to draw the basic shape of his head. He's kind of got a big head. And then the basic, like, bottom part of his torso, kind of where his little rear end is going to be. It's going to be somewhere around here. Then his head splits right about there. Put it the center line of his face right here because he's looking over towards our left. Put his little leg coming this way. And his little foot. These are just basic shapes that I'm making to kind of plan out where the character is going to be. Going to make his other leg going this way. Maybe bend it a little bit. Put a little bit of more action in it. See the bottom of his foot right there a little bit. Now he is going to put his arms out this way because he's sort of off balance. And I think we naturally do that when we're off balance. We kind of throw our arms out. So he's trying to kick this ball up in the air. I'm going to do two sides of the half circles here, which will give me a nice circle. I find for me that's the easiest way to make a decent circle, is to do the first half and then do the second half. And now we kind of have the basic shape that we need. Compares a little bit well with this one. Size proportions are about right. It looks good. So then we got his center line here. I'm going to start putting in some of the details. Can't forget his ears. He's got kind of big ears. Put in the nose. Some cheeks. I like to make his eyes kind of close together because it just makes him look fun. Throw his eyebrows really high up because he's always excited. When people get excited, their eyebrows tend to go really high. So that's kind of where I kind of less cheek over here. Let's put a little bit more pointy, just to follow what we already have in the other drawings. Okay, so now I'm gonna throw in his. He's got a little sleeves. Just gonna throw the little sleeves in like this, and his shirt goes right about there. His little shorts. Now at this point I'm not really worried too much about details. I'm just mostly worried about placement of where everything's gonna go. Some funny fingers. We'll fix that later. Just trying to have fun with it and make sure he's fun. Maybe I need to bring this leg back more because I think he's way too off balance. Let's try that. I'm just going to make a selection just to test it out. And I'm going to hit that button. And I put this here, and it's kind of like doing animation. Maybe move his leg a little bit farther back this way. Yeah, that looks a little bit more dynamic to me. Anyway, so kind of bring the leg this way like that. Now we're going to have to maybe bend this like he's stepping back here. That looks better. He looks like he's a little bit more over his center of gravity there. So that's a little bit better. And we're going to have the hair. I'm still figuring out what the easiest way to draw this hair is going to be. But I like the new version. It's a little easier to remember where everything goes, and it's going to make drawing him over and over a lot easier, I think. I think his head needs to be a tiny bit bigger to fit in with the rest of the other ones. So again, I'm going to use my selection tool, which this program makes so incredibly easy to use. I'm just going to enlarge his head a little bit. Let's see. Yeah, that kind of, I think that works. Everything is a test. You got to test things that you're doing, see if they're working. One of the hardest things for me to learn as an artist is to not get so caught up in wanting to finish something that I'm not willing to erase a lot of the things I've already accomplished in order to get the best result possible. So sometimes you gotta erase some of this other junk, so just so you can see what you've done a little bit better. Because sometimes all the structure lines that you've created so you know where everything is going to go kind of get in the way. And I just realized that the jaw I was giving him is more the old way I used to do it. And now he's a little bit more roundy than he used to be. And I had to look at the other pictures to kind of notice that, because I was starting to draw him that really angular way like I used to. But I like the soft roundy version quite a bit. That's starting to look right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this entire layer lighter, and then I'm going to draw over it with a sort of a cleanup layer where things aren't going to be so dark like they were before. Make it pretty light. Put a layer over that, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more so that I can get a little bit closer to what I'm working with. And now I'm going to go in and tighten up the drawing, basically. It's hard not to get stiff when you're doing the tightening of the drawing, because your tendency, or at least my tendency, is to try to get all the lines perfect, and I tend to forget about keeping them nice and flowy and with the original intent that they had of movement, because I try to follow the original drawing so carefully that sometimes you got to turn the drawing to get the right angle on the lines you're drawing. And I don't do that enough. I have to remember to keep doing that. Turning the drawing is very, very useful. So that way you don't have to turn your whole body to draw lines how you're comfortable, how your hand is comfortable. You just turn the canvas instead. It makes it so much easier. This program that I'm using is called Manga Studio 5EX, and it is incredible. I love working in this program. It's a lot of fun. It's very easy to use. I used to do everything in Photoshop, all my artwork, and since I've gotten this program, I use Photoshop a lot less. I only use Photoshop for editing things. I don't really use it for art anymore because Manga Studio has just such a great rendering, the way that it does things, the functionality of it. It has a built-in 3D model that you can turn around and stuff. I barely ever use it, but it's really cool. If you're bad at making poses, you can actually take this 3D model that it has, or actually a library of 3D models, and move them around and pose the hands and the feet and all kinds of things until you get the position, the pose that you want for the character you're going to draw, and then you just do an overlay drawing over that, and bam, you have a pose that you've drawn, that you've created, that is customized to what you're going to need for your drawing, and it's really awesome. Photoshop does not offer that. You'd have to get Photoshop extended and bring in a third party, you know, 3D image that has been created and pre-posed in another program in order to be able to do that. This program also has awesome features for doing backgrounds. They have three 3-point perspective, 2-point perspective rulers that your pencil are stuck to, and you can draw really cool cityscapes and stuff with it. There's a lot of things that this program does. It's amazing that it's so cost effective and not very expensive. It's really great, and I recommend it if anybody likes to do comics. It has another name too. It's called Clip Studio Paint also. They have two names for it for some reason. I don't really understand that, but it's the same program. But it's incredible. I love working in this program. Okay, so I'm going to put some little like bouncy effects here. Like he's just kicked that ball. Boink. And darken this part. Darken this part. And let's see how it compares to the other ones. Yeah, stay on model. He's a little bit smaller and thinner than the other guys. I'm still working on drawing him this way, so I don't have it perfect yet. I'm working on it, and hopefully, I mean, just some minor adjustments, and I'll get him to where he needs to be. Turn him that way so he looks a little bit less unbalanced. And I like him. I like the way he looks. Like I said, it could be, he could be a little bit thicker, I think. I think I got a little cautious with my drawing. Like I said, you can't be afraid to go in and mess with things and then keep doing fixes even after you think you have a pretty decent drawing. His head looks not the same as the other ones to me, but I'm going to keep playing with it until I get it exactly like the other ones, so I can learn to draw him over and over again correctly. Let's see if this helps. I think his hair is too small. I think that's what's throwing me, that this part of his hair, the front part of his unruly hair up here might be too small compared to this one, and I think that's what's throwing me. So I'm going to erase some of that, and do it over again so it looks right. It's one of the important things, like I was saying, you can't be afraid to just start over if you have to, because you want it to be right. So I'm going to move the front of his head right a little bit, the center line a little bit more that way. And then give him a little bit bigger hair. And I'll see how that looks. Yeah, that definitely made a big difference. It's not all there yet, but it's much better than what it was before. There it is. That's a little bit better. Just that size difference in those two elements makes such an incredible difference as to whether it looks the same from one panel when you're drawing your comic strip to the next. It's got to look like the same character every time. His eyes, the centers of his eyes are a little small too, so that also was, from looking and comparing between these two, that also was off. And I think I need to add this a little bit higher over here. That'll help a lot also. Just little details that make your character stand out from the rest of the characters that in your book as an individual. As this character smiles this way, and he, when he runs this way, and they all could have a different way of running, and a different way of. Now look at these arms. Like, these arms have a little bit more shape, and these are very flat and straight. There's another mistake that I made that I need to go and correct. Like I said, I'm still learning to redraw this character in a new way a little bit. So I'm gonna lighten that up and take another stab at it till I get it right. I'm also trying to just have fun, you know. My friend Mike at work always tells me, "Are you having fun yet?" And I'm very serious when it comes to art, so sometimes I forget that the reason I do art is because I think it's really fun. But sometimes I get so hung up on trying to get everything perfect that I just forget to have fun and to just enjoy my art. Okay, I think that's as close as I am going to get for now. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I'm going to keep messing with it, but I think, yeah, that made a big difference there. That was way too pointy. Bring his sleeve up a little bit there. Nice. Alright, and that does it for that drawing. Maybe draw a little line there, and done. Okay, hope you enjoyed it.